This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to do a tablet smackdown between the iPad with Retina Display, that's the 4th generation iPad, and Intel Atom Windows 8 tablets, that's the Lenovo ThinkPad Tablet 2. Specifically, we're going to look at the HP Envy X2 also. I know some of you have been wondering which kind of tablet you need. Do you need an iPad or do you need one of the lightweight, long battery life Windows tablets? We're going to look at them now and help you decide. Okay, so this Smackdown is for you technological newbies, you tablet newbies, not you folks who really know everything about Core i5 versus Atom versus every Android tablet on the planet. This is just for you everyday folks who are trying to decide you want to buy your first 10-inch tablet and you want to know, should it be an iPad or maybe should it be a Windows 8 tablet? Now, what do they have in common? Actually, more than you might think. At first it seems like, well, gee, this is a simplistic kind of Smackdown, isn't it? But there's a lot in common here. Long battery life, for one. Intel Atom tablets have quite long battery life, just like the mobile OS counterparts, that is iOS tablets like the iPad, and also Android tablets. And another thing is they tend to be very thin and light. They don't need a whole lot of apparatus in there for passive cooling. They don't have any fans. They're also quite silent, therefore. So, for example, this ThinkPad Tablet 2 here, running Windows 8 on an Intel Atom 1.8 GHz dual-core CPU, is actually lighter than the iPad with Retina Display and a little bit smaller, as you can see. So for portability, for battery life, that's what you have in common. After that, folks, it's all different. Let me tell you. First, here's our standard Windows 8 desktop. Windows 8 has a dual UI. By now you probably know this. You can use these live tile applications, all of which run very well on the Atom CPU. Atom CPU is not the sharpest CPU on the block, but it's certainly capable of handling everything here, including the games that are available in the Microsoft Store. And some of those are 3D games too. But with the iPad, you have even more powerful graphics and actually perhaps a more powerful CPU inside. So when it comes to gaming, if you want to do more than casual gaming or just the very small selection of 3D games that are available in the Windows Store right now, the iPad is your #1 top choice. Real powerful graphics, very fast CPU, and a huge selection of top quality games. With Windows 8 Atom tablets, because the CPU is relatively speaking underpowered, it is not a gaming machine at all. And that gets to the real important point here. What do you want your tablet to do for you? Are you looking for something that's kind of a notebook stand-in? Well, then a Windows tablet starts to make sense. Or do you want something that's really awesome for media consumption, has a huge, huge library of applications? That would be the iPad. You've got Netflix, you've got Hulu Plus. Of course, you can do those things here, especially because you have a browser with Adobe Flash built in. But you've got all the dedicated applications on here, and honestly, any wonderfully mobile game you can think of, it's there on the iPad, and generally speaking optimized for the tablet, so you get a very good quality experience. Now, some of you have asked for lots of speed comparisons between these two, and honestly, because the platforms are so different, that isn't really as relevant as you might think. For example, this isn't even running a Windows architecture, anything Intel, but it feels experientially as one of the fastest tablets that you can find. In terms of raw benchmarks, there's not a whole lot that you're going to find that are cross-platform between Windows. Still, this here is the desktop operating system, basically, and iOS. But for some of those cross-platform tests, we do have SunSpider, which measures JavaScript performance in the web browser. And on the Lenovo ThinkPad Tablet 2, we scored 804. Lower numbers are better here. And the iPad did 913. Both are excellent numbers. Both are fairly close. It's not a real deciding point there. Geekbench is a cross-platform benchmark that runs on, just about everything now. And on the Lenovo ThinkPad Tablet 2, we got a score of 1350. This is where higher numbers are better, versus 1766 on the iPad 4. So actually benchmarking a little bit faster there. Inside the iPad, we have a 1.2 GHz Apple A6 dual-core CPU with quad-core graphics. And here we have a 1.8 GHz Intel Atom Z2760 dual-core CPU with Power VR graphics, which are not super powerful graphics by any means. The iPad has a gig of RAM. The ThinkPad Tablet 2, like all Windows 8 Atom tablets, has 2 gigs of RAM. Now, memory is used very differently between the two of these, so let's just take a look at that for a minute. The iPad handles its own multitasking internally. That is, if too many applications are running, it'll start to close them down and free up memory. This runs like true Windows. If you're running the live tile interface, it will do memory management and close down live tile apps, but once you're in the desktop, it's up to you to manage your applications. You can run Word, you can run Excel, you can have Photoshop going at the same time, which is all wonderful and great, but you only have 2 gigs of RAM. So if it starts to slow down or it starts to crash, you need to close those applications yourself. And that gets to another point. Windows 8 is a fairly low-key operating system in terms of maintenance. It's not like Vista was, XP, or even Windows 7 where you're bombarded with constant Windows updates and you've got to do them right now and restart. Windows 8 handles a little bit differently. It downloads the updates in the background. It tells you, you can say, go ahead, install these, and it gives you 2 days to actually restart. So you're not pressured into doing that, but still you will just about every Patch Tuesday be getting some updates for your tablet, and you're going to have to manage those and make some time to go ahead and reboot. And sometimes you say, okay, it's nagging me. It says there's something important. I better do that. And before you know it, you've forgotten what it was you started doing. You know, that's how it goes when you're using a desktop operating system. With the iPad, you just turn it on. You just use it. If you just want something that you're going to pick up quickly just to check a web browser, to do your email, to watch a video, turnkey, that kind of thing, the iPad's for you. Now how about display? Obviously the iPad with Retina Display has a very high resolution display. That's a big marketing point, and it's not just marketing. Text looks incredibly sharp. That's where you're really going to notice the difference a whole lot more. Also, it's a very vibrant and rich display. The resolution is 2048 by 1536, so that's a lot of pixels there at 9.7 inches. Windows tablets are either 10.1 inches or 11.6 inches, and the Atom tablets are always 1366 by 768. We have not seen any full HD ones so far, probably because that would be a lot of work for the Atom to have to drive an HD display internally all the time. So while Windows 8 handles typography exceptionally well and you get really crisp fonts, there is a difference in legibility of text. I think most people would look at this and say this looks just fine here on the ThinkPad tablet too, but it's not quite as sharp. And when you're watching HD videos, you'll notice definitely improved quality on the iPad. In terms of pinch zooming speed, both very good. Big difference here while we're in the browser is Adobe Flash. Of course, this is Windows 8, you get Adobe Flash. Both in the modern UI browser, that's the live tile browser that runs full screen, which we're in right now, though this one uses some whitelists, so well-known sites like Hulu and YouTube, you'll get Flash, but if you're using some little no-name site that happens to have a Flash video embedded, you might not, so then you have to switch to the desktop and use the desktop version of IE. A little confusing dichotomy there, but anyway, yes, you have Adobe Flash. That means Amazon Prime Video works just fine. Obviously, no Adobe Flash on the iPad. Of course, when it comes to things like Amazon Prime, that's okay. There's actually an app for that. We won't go too much into look and feel of the tablet because really the ThinkPad Tablet 2 is a lovely Windows 8 tablet, but it's just a placeholder right here for all the various Windows 8 Intel Atom tablets that are on the market. So it depends on which one you choose. The ThinkPad Tablet 2 is a very nicely made tablet. It's quite thin. It has that usual soft touch back on it. But then there's the Acer Iconia Tab W510, which is a more plasticky looking tablet, also 10.1 inches, also pretty thin and light, but not as chic as the iPad. In terms of pricing, it really depends on which tablet you choose once again. The Lenovo starts at about $650 or so, and if you want the 3G version, right now that's about $840. Lenovo pricing is a moving target because they're always having specials on their website. So iPad obviously starts at $499, but here you're looking at 64 gigs. Almost all of your Windows 8 Atom tablets have 64 gigs of internal storage, and that means about 32 gigs actually available because the operating system and the recovery partition take up space. So it's sort of like getting the 32 gig iPad. So you're looking at $599 at the iPad if you want 32 gigs of storage. Lenovo does add something special, and this is something that's pretty cool about Windows tablets. This is an actual digital pen with a Wacom digitizer. Not all Windows 8 Atom tablets have it, but the Lenovo ThinkPad 2 tablet has it. The Dell Latitude 10 has it available as an option. Their base $499 model, also a 10-inch Atom tablet, does not have it. And there's the Samsung ATIV 500T Smart PC. That one has a digital pen as well. So optional on a couple of these tablets, included with some of these tablets. Obviously with the iPad, it's just a capacitive stylus, much less precise, really no fun for drawing. And as we get into that variety of Atom tablets that's available in the Windows 8 ecosystem, there's a good number of models that are available now, and they come in two basic flavors, the small 10.1 inch tablet and then the 11.6 inch. The 11.6 inches are often transformers with either optional or included keyboard docks that may have a secondary battery in there to extend runtime. So this is the HP Envy X2. This is a tablet that comes with the keyboard dock. List price is $850, but usually you'll see it sold for about $700 or so. I've even seen specials as low as $600, which is a good deal. And this does have a secondary battery in the dock here. And you can see this looks just like a notebook computer. Beautiful aluminum construction. You slide it out and you've got just the tablet. Being 11.6 inches, obviously a little bit bigger than the iPad, but about the same weight at 1.5 pounds. Also a nice metal back. So a lot of more choices here, obviously, in Windows land, because you're looking at a lot of different brands and models versus just one iPad. Now, how about video playback? Well, both of these are quite capable for video playback, right up to 1080p quality. I would say the iPad has a little bit more horsepower in that area, but still, absolutely no problems playing Windows Media Player format and MPEG-4 files on the ThinkPad Tablet 2. Now, as I keep referring to the ThinkPad Tablet 2, I know we brought the NVX2 in here for a little bit. Let me just say that right now, all Intel Atom Windows 8 tablets use the same 1.8 gigahertz dual-core CPU with the same graphics, the same 2 gigs of RAM, and usually the same 64 gigs of storage. So whether you're looking at this guy or you're looking at a different Intel Atom tablet, you're looking at the same hardware inside. And in terms of benchmarks and performance, some do a little bit faster than others, but really there's not a big divide between them, so don't obsess on that. We have a 1080p trailer right here. We'll test out. We're at 84% for volume. Now, most of the Windows tablets have stereo speakers. We have a mono speaker on the iPad 4. It's still, the iPad speaker is often louder, but obviously not stereo. So that plays just fine, looks beautiful. It's a nice enough screen, even though it's not super high resolution. Funny how the iPad actually sounds better, right? Even though it has a mono speaker, but there it is. Given the difference in aspect ratio, see the black bars, you're going to have that because you have a different aspect ratio. The iPad is 4:3 versus 16:9 on the Windows tablets. So this is well suited to video playback. You won't see as much black bars, but the iPad pulls ahead when it comes to things like viewing ebooks because it's a little bit easier to read something that is not super duper stretched out, wide and narrow. And you can read this either way. This is the iBooks application. You can use whatever app you want. Of course, you can use Kindle, Barnes & Noble Nook application, any of those to read. And here we're using the Windows Reader app on the ThinkPad Tablet 2, and we're actually viewing a PDF right now. So you can see that's kind of tall and narrow. It's a little bit weird for reading. It depends on the application whether it's going to support the facing pages view, which I don't find to be the most efficient way to read, to be honest. You get 2 little pages, a little bit of text on each one, but there it is. In terms of application selection, when it comes to the ThinkPad Tablet 2, you are again looking at Windows. If it's a Windows 7 application, you can install it, be it Evernote or a full MS Office, even Photoshop. Photoshop runs okay on it. A little slow to launch, but once you get up and running, it's not bad. iOS is still a mobile OS, just like the iPhone. That means you don't install Windows applications in that, obviously. Of course, there are mobile equivalents for a lot of applications. There are third-party Office suites, still no full Microsoft Office suite, so you're not going to get all the features that Office has. And you're not going to get that fancy SkyDrive integration that the latest version of Office offers. But you do have apps like Evernote that are available to you here. Plenty enough to keep you busy for productivity, but I would still say obviously Windows is going to be the key player for productivity. Also, when it comes to things like easy file access, you have Windows Explorer for file management. You have things like an actual USB port on these tablets. It's either going to be built in the tablet or it's going to be on the keyboard dock. In the case of Lenovo, since it doesn't really depend on a dock, you have your full-size USB port right here. You can plug in wireless 3G, 4G modems, hard drives, flash drives, keyboards, mice, game pads. These are things that you can't do with the iPad. More like a regular computer, this is. Also, this guy has a micro SD card slot. SD, XC cards are compatible for high capacity. No storage card slot on the iPad. This guy also has HDMI out. Usually you'll see micro HDMI. This one has mini HDMI. Occasionally you'll see full-size HDMI like our HP NVX2 has on the dock. With the iPad, you buy an adapter that plugs into the proprietary connector on it if you want to go ahead and use HDMI. Camera quality is going to vary, of course, depending on which Windows tablet that you pick. This ThinkPad Tablet 2 has a 1.2 megapixel front camera and a 5 megapixel rear camera, just like the iPad. I would say the iPad does a little bit better job with the rear camera, though. But the HP NVX2 has an 8 megapixel camera, and it happens to be quite good. Likewise for the Asus VivoTab Smart TF810C, 8 megapixel camera, and also quite good quality, so a little bit better actually there than the iPad 2. These cameras are only as good as the applications that drive them. The standard Windows camera application is just so-so, so it also depends on whether the manufacturer offers a custom camera application, like, for example, HP does, and it really can help quality. Battery life, excellent either way you're looking at. About 9 hours for the iPad with Retina display, and likewise you're looking at that. The range depends again on the tablet that you pick. With the ThinkPad tablet too, this guy's a little Energizer bunny. This goes 9 hours, no problem. It has standby just like the iPad does. You really don't have to shut it down. Just hit the power button to put it to sleep, put it down, come back in 3 days when you need it again, and it really hasn't drained very much. Something like the Envy X2, the tablet itself used separately, goes for about 7.5 to 8 hours on a charge, and the keyboard dock nearly doubles it for phenomenal run times, really like 15 hours. The same is true of the Asus VivoTab TF810C again. The Acer Iconia W510 10.1 inch has an optional dock, and that does the same thing. It extends the battery life. That one also goes for about 8 to 9 hours on a charge. So with any of these, you're looking at really very good standby times and good battery life. Very good battery life, certainly compared to most PCs. So there's the main differences that we have between these two tablets. Again, really, the Windows tablet for somebody who's looking for productivity. Price range runs anywhere from $499 up to about almost $1,000, depending on which one you choose and whether you get the keyboard dock with that particular one if it's available. iPad, you know the pricing, $499 up to about $928, depending on how much storage you want and whether you want 3G or 4G. With the Windows 8 tablets, it really depends on the brand, whether that option is going to be available for 3G, 4G. As we mentioned, the ThinkPad tablet 2 does have a 3G and 4G LTE option on it. The Envy X2 does not. The Acer Iconia W510 does not. So it depends on which one you're looking at. But since this is Windows, again, you can use a 3G USB dongle with this. You can also use your phone as a mobile hotspot for any tablet. But as ever, it's going to be massive entertainment potential. The iPad 2, ease of use, always very fast, no maintenance, zero maintenance there. 4:3 aspect ratio, that's very nice for reading books, not as great for watching movies because you get plenty of black bars. This guy here, this is your mobile office in your hands. Easy to carry, easy to stick in the bag anywhere. A little bit more maintenance, can get a little bit slower, especially if you're running those Windows 7 apps in the desktop right here and you get too many of them going at once, it will get sluggish. So that's our iPad versus Windows 8 Intel Atom Tablet Smackdown. Hopefully now that we've gone through a couple of points here, you know which one's better for you. Be sure to read our review of all these tablets, watch our video reviews as well, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit that like button.